Get a room, you two!
Hey, welcome back to Tripod's Garage. Today we are going to be looking at a new laser engraver. I've said that before. We are looking at a unique laser engraver. Said that before too. Well, in all honesty, we are looking at a new and unique laser engraver by Xtool. It's called the S1. I did my first laser review about 2 years ago, and ever since then, I've been using this. Yes, that's bear wearing safety goggles. And in every one of my videos, I emphasize laser safety and proper precautions. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that don't follow safety precautions, and that's also why I emphasize it in every video. However, now Xtool's new S1 is Class 1 certified by IEC, which means that per Xtool, you do not need to wear safety goggles while operating this machine. It's so-called eye-friendly, which is great. It also has 5 points of flame detection built in, has an emergency stop on the side. It has a automatic disable if you decide to open the lid while it's laser engraving, features that make this laser very unique. Now, I did get this on early release, so please be gentle with me on this because I had to kind of learn a lot of these things on my own. So by the time of the release of this video, you may actually have more information than I did. So let's go ahead and take a look inside this machine, what makes it unique, and what other features it has. Let's go over some of the safety features of the Xtool S1. You'll notice that it is all enclosed, and it has this really big lid with a great big viewing window here. This lid could filter 455 nanometer and 1064 nanometer wavelengths. And if you were to open this lid in the middle of a job, it'll automatically stop the laser and you could go ahead and resume once you close it and hit the button down below. As we head in, there's actually flame detection. I actually thought that these were little LEDs, but nope, this is your flame detection sensors right here. You got 2 in the back and then 2 in the front. And then you also have another one that's on your tool head. And this is also compatible with their flame detection system for extinguishing a fire. As we come to the back on the right side, you have an emergency stop button. As mentioned, this is compatible with their flame extinguishing system, and that is the port that you were to plug in your CO2 fire safety set. On the back, you also have a 3-inch exhaust that you can exhaust out the window or through an air purifier if you so choose. With the 40-watt laser module, your working area is about 19.6 by 12.5 inches, or that equates to 498 by 319 millimeters. If you're using the 20-watt laser module, it's a tad smaller, so your engraving area will increase 498 to 330 millimeters. Speaking of laser modules, the spot size on the 40-watt is 0.08 by 0.10 millimeters. And if you're looking for a little bit more accuracy, you could go with the 20-watt at 0.08 by 0.06 millimeters. Now these modules are interchangeable, so you could go with the 40-watt, the 20-watt, or even the IR. I wonder if they're going to come up with anything else besides those 3. Leave a comment below. Another thing that sets the S1 apart is this probe. This probe, it reminds me of almost like a BL Touch in the 3 printing space. What this probe will allow you to do is one of 3 things. Well, 3 things actually. First, it'll automatically adjust your focus height. Next, this probe will allow you to do what's called 2-point positioning. Basically, you could outline your material in a square or rectangle and find the marking area that you so choose and engrave within that marking area. So there's no need for a camera anymore. Now, what's unique about using this probe also is what's called dynamic focus engraving. Say that you have an uneven surface and you like to engrave or cut along that surface. Well, now you can by using this probe to create a mesh, and it's pretty darn unique. I can't wait to give that a try. And your nozzle also has built-in air assist functionality. Inside, you'll notice that you have nice drag chains along your X and Y axis. Also, if you're familiar with the Xtool type brand of products, you'll notice that it also has these steel wheels and guides throughout the whole thing. So the movement is nice and steady and smooth. There's a multi-purpose button on the front. Now we also have software controlled air assist if you so choose. This is an air assist where you can set it to auto or different settings if you so choose. This air assist is actually powered off of USB with their expansion system. And there's your port for the USB. Then on the side here you have your power switch, your power brick, and connection to your computer. And then you have a USB dongle key, and I just took it out and you heard it beep. Now it's locked and you cannot use it until you put this back in. That's what the F1 uses. For my testing, I will be using a fume extraction unit instead of venting out a window. Now this laser is full of features, but you also have to unpack it and sometimes put things together. And this is pretty much almost ready to go out of the box. So let's take a look at that. It comes equipped with these nice big Velcro straps. I would suggest possibly doing a team lift for this. I didn't want to take any chances, and you can see it has this nice rigid cardboard around the top here and some real nice high density foam. It has nice protective film everywhere that you would expect it to be, so everything is nice and well protected. Next, we're going to remove this vent cover. It uses 4 screws to hold in. Save those 4 screws because now we're going to use those 4 screws to attach the hose. This hose is included and you can vent outside or to an air purifier. Next, we're going to remove these 2 bump stops. There's one on each side with 2 screws. Next, we're going to install the laser module. It's just 1 plug and the air assist hose. There's a guide pin in the back to line it up, and then you're going to just use the 2 screws, and these screws have Loctite on them to secure it from the top. And that's it. Laser module is now installed. Pretty darn simple. What's even more simple is this touch probe, because on the back, it's just held in by magnets. I think that's a great idea, especially if it gets caught. It could just get popped right off. Now, all the S1s comes with these prisms. Basically, what that does is allows you to lift the material up and let the laser pass through, allowing a cleaner cut. I would suggest actually going with the optional honeycomb bed. And this honeycomb bed comes with these nifty stay downs, which are magnetic. And really, they do a great job and really don't allow the material to move at all. Well, to me, it was a team lift operation. You know what? I will swallow my pride not to drop a nice laser like this. And setup was simple and easy. Speaking of simple and easy, that brings us to today's video sponsor, PCBWay. Are you looking for a PCB manufacturer? Are you looking for rigid, flexible PCBs? Are you looking for them to assemble them for you? Well, they can. And they also offer other services such as 3D printing, injected molding, and CNC. Heck, they even have a community section where you could buy a project and assemble it on your own. If you're looking for any of these services, please reach out to PCBWay. And I'd like to thank PCBWay for sponsoring today's video. Now let's continue on with the Xtool S1. Okay, now let's do a few projects. First, we're going to test out that 2-point positioning system and that dynamic focus engraving. Really excited about that one. So I'm going to do a few things and let's see how they turn out. First, we're going to engrave this bamboo cutting board. We are going to open Xtool Creative Space, laser flat, and pick distance. And now you'll see that it's actually probing the material, and look at that. You can actually see the plus moving across the Creative Space because it knows its own orientation. Then for the 2-point positioning, you're going to do set marking, and we're going to move your crosshairs to a position that you like. Click on the button, and then we're going to go to the lower right. Going to basically create a rectangle / square of my work area. going to line up the crosshairs where I want it. And then either I could click in the software or I could press the button in the front again. And now that sets my grid. Now, unfortunately, the boundary that it created for my work area is not a layer, and there's no way to interface with it. So I'm just going to use my best judgment here and see how center it is. And then I'm going to set my materials on the right. I'm going to set it for 30, and then with a speed of, let's go 100 millimeters, and then I'm going to change my line. Let's do like 140, a little bit more detail. Now I'm going to do a framing. Just want to make sure that everything looks good. And yep, it looks to be where I want it. And then next step would be to process the job. So what I'm going to do in the lower right is click on process, and it can take a few seconds after you click on it for the preview to come up. And then in the upper right, I'm going to click on start, and it's going to send the job to the printer. I'm going to close the lid, and then I'm going to hit the front button, and that will start the engraving process. Now, bamboo could be a kind of a tricky material, along with any other type of wood type products, because you are dealing with different grains. But I think this came out really nice, very clean, legible, and of course I'll put the files down below in the description if you're looking for a file like this. But yeah, I think it definitely passed, and it, I don't know, will make a good gift for someone. Now I wanted to try that dynamic laser focusing, and I found this bowl on Amazon. It had some nice valleys and stuff. I figured it would be a good test for it. You're going to click on curve process and then curve measure, and it's going to basically walk you through the whole process. First, we're going to move it to where I want for the first probe, and you saw a little bit of a shift there. I should have used some tape underneath to hold it in place. It's going to walk you through the whole two positioning setup for this because it needs to find its engraving area. So I'm going to now move it to the lower right and let it probe once again. And then once we're done with that, we're going to hit the set, and we're going to make sure that it probes. And after this step, we'll be doing the mesh part. Again, I'm holding it in place because I didn't know if it was going to move or not. And then it's going to do its last little home so it knows the height. And now we are going to do the meshing. And with the mesh, you could actually set how many points you want for it to go. So this is, since this is a really uneven surface, I'm going to do a lot of probes on here because there's lots of valleys in here that pretty hard for you to see, but they're there. And once it's done, we'll have a nice mesh for the laser to follow up and down and get a nice even burn on the material. And of course, you could decrease the probes. I just chose again because there was lots of valleys, and you could go ahead and do less if you so choose. And now that's done, you could actually see the mesh that it created. It's almost like a valley, and you can see how it goes up and down on some spots, and it'll be very interesting to see how it engraves. Since this is a snack dish, I decided to come up with a little something to say once it's someone finished. Did you eat it all? With a little piggy. I'm basically using the same settings I used for the bamboo, 30 and 100. And we're going to kick it off with that and see how it looks. Now, if you really pay attention to this, you can see that the laser is moving up and down. That is pretty cool. And this is the results. Yep, it went a little bit deeper than I thought it would, but you could see how nice and clean everything is. The little piggy character came out really, really nice. And very sharp engraving, and you can still make it out. Did you eat it all? Not trying to make anyone feel guilty or anything if they finish the candy that's in this dish, but I think it's kind of fun. A little bit deeper of engraving than I would have liked. I basically liked it etched. Now, my wife and I were always on the lookout for some deals. And believe it or not, she was at Walgreens and she found these cedar planks for grilling. And they're only $1.09 for a 2-pack. I mean, I think that's a great price. And look, the manufacturer actually laser engraved it. But you could find deals like this all over the place. And you know what? Maybe you could do something creative for someone. You know, someone that likes to grill and uses cedar planks for like fish or something. I mean, you can have some fun with it. This was at 20% power at 200 millimeters per second. And you know what? after it's done, you could just throw it in the charcoal and burn it and get some more flavor. I mean, I don't know if I would do it, but that's what the manufacturer suggests on the back of the product. I mean, you can make a nice small sign out of this. It is cedar, and it should last outside for a long time. $1.09 at Walgreens. Who would ever have thought? Next, I decided to try some black acrylic. This is 3mm, and within XCS, you have their default setting, which was, let's see, 8mm per second at 100% power, and yep, everything just fell right through. And nice clean cuts. And the pumpkin was actually within one of their images. Yep, looks pretty nice, but be warned, acrylic does smell pretty nasty. Vent accordingly, please. Next, let's laser etch a cutting board. This is glass, and I use tempera paint mixed 50% ratio water to tempera paint. If you don't know what tempera paint is, it's a washable paint, mostly geared towards kids. And I put this in a container, 50% water, 50% paint, and I just literally pour it on and let it sit. And I did this on the reverse side of the cutting board. So we're going to need to mirror my image. Now I already did my 2-point positioning, and that's the green box. And I also created another layer that was my, basically the dimensions of my cutting board. Now I'm just going to align my image with my dimensions of the cutting board on that one layer. You can do it, from top, bottom, left to right, and make sure everything is nice and centered. Now I'm going to grab everything and try to center it or overlay it as much as I can on my 2-point positioning. And once I get it where I want, I'm then going to hide my first layer because I don't want it to actually engrave. Now I'm going to set my power and speed. Let's do 60 for power, 100 for speed, and let's do lines per centimeter at, 140 sounds good. And then we're going to go ahead and process our job. If you're going to laser etch glass, you need a interface layer for a diode laser. And I choose tempera paint because it's easily washable with just hot water. It comes right off. And this is the back side. And look how nice and clear that came out. Well, etched it came out. And we're going to now just wash off this tempera paint. And look how nice and clean that is. The reason why I did it on the reverse side is because then it doesn't get scratched. This is permanent. Look how clean that came out. I really like using tempera paint because it's not that messy, and it just, like I said, it washes right off with hot water. Very clear. I think that's my best one yet. I love laser etching glass. Next, I decided to do a rock coaster, and I used the same image as the cutting board, and I used the default settings through XCS for rock coaster. I just picked in the drop down, and look how nice this came out. Let's wipe it down, see if there's any residue. Nope, it looks just as good. Yep, that came out really nice and centered. I really like it, so let's cook. So what are my thoughts on this Xtool S1? Let's go ahead and find out. Well, those projects came out really good. Well, minus the bowl. I went a little bit too hot. I really thought that was a more denser material of a wood. So I should have definitely lowered the heat, so to speak, on it, because that engraving was a little bit too deep. I really wanted to do more like a score along the top. But otherwise, everything else came out really, really nice. So what are my final thoughts of the Xtool S1? Well, it is a great machine. I really like the fact that it has all these safety features built right in from, a class 1 licensed machine where it has all the safety built right in that if you lift the lid, it'll automatically turn off. And per Xtool, you do not need to wear safety goggles while operating the machine. I like that it's modular on the inside, that you could use different laser modules. You have the IR 2 watt, you got the 20 watt and the 40 watt. Who knows what else they may come up with. And that it has built-in ducting, so you could exhaust outside or through an air purifier. Now, some of the downfalls, so to speak, some of the negatives. Now, when I'm doing that, 2-point positioning system, I would really like that boundary box to be active. What I mean by that is that I should be able to move my object within there and just hit, say, center, and it will center within that box instead of me having to create another layer and be able to then center it within that layer and then hide it so it doesn't get engraved with that layer. Next is that, well, height. This is pretty darn shallow, and you can get what's called a riser base for it. So right now, out of the box, you can't really do a tumbler because it's just not enough height. That height with that riser will allow you to do a tumbler, as well as in the future if you want to do a feed. And that could go up to 300 millimeters. Now let's talk about the modules themselves. There's 3 available and they're interchangeable. Now, I did find it pretty difficult to unplug the module once I plugged it in, and I believe if you're going to make this a modular system, you should make it where the connector is very easy to plug in and take out, maybe with some type of latch on it, because it's my hope that they just won't stop at these 3. Maybe like a, like a vinyl cutter module. That'd be pretty cool. But overall, I had a very positive experience with this, and I think this is geared towards consumer to prosumer, and you should be able to get up and running within a matter of minutes. And currently, from now until November 2nd, if you were to buy the S1, you will get the honeycomb bed and air assist for free. That's over a $300 value. Now, if you are watching this video after that, no worries. Down in the description, I will always keep my videos updated with the latest promotions, and there's links, affiliate links down below if you're looking to purchase. They do help me out a little bit with like materials and other things, so I truly appreciate you tuning into Tripod's Garage. Please have a wonderful day, evening, or weekend, or whenever you decide to watch this video. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you the next time on Tripod's Garage.